Hey everyone, or should I say bonjour tout le monde. Today we're going to learn how to make the classic French macaron. Alright, let's get started. We have 6 learning objectives. Let's go through them together. Number 1. Differentiate between a macaron and a macaroon. Now this is a common misconception, so I'll help you with the pronunciation and so you know the difference between these two pastries. Number 2. Determine the right selection and preparation of ingredients and baking tools to make macarons. Number 3. How to create the perfect meringue in your batter. Number 4. Perfect folding technique. Number 5. Piping the appropriate pastry size. And number 6. Determining the root of the cause for baking fails in case this occurs in the future. So wait a minute, is it a macaron or is it a macaroon? Which one's which and how do I know the difference? Now these are what we call macaroons. Macarons are small, cakey, dense biscuits that are made from a thick almond paste or coconut filling. Now some of these are flavored with vanilla, honey, or again have a very overwhelming taste of coconut, and are at times dipped in jams or chocolates. These, on the other hand, are what we call macarons. Macarons are a very light, chewy pastry made from almond flour and meringue. They come in a variety of flavors such as chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, lemon, or even some floral flavors like rose or lavender. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is France's President, Emmanuel Macron, just so there's no confusion on pronunciation of anything. Here's what you're going to need to make your macarons. A powerful hand mixer, a bowl for your wet ingredients, a smaller bowl for your dry ingredients, a sifter, a rubber spatula, a piping bag, and preferably a rubber baking mat. Here are the ingredients you need to make your French vanilla macarons. 3/4 cup almond flour, 1/2 cup powdered sugar, 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, a pinch of kosher salt, 1 1/2 egg whites, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla bean paste or vanilla extract. Using your strainer, you're going to sift about 1/4 cup of almond flour at a time into a small mixing bowl. By sifting your almond flour, this helps prevent any kind of lumps or bumps in our batter and keeps it nice and light and airy. Once you finish sifting your almond flour, you're going to do the same thing with your powdered sugar as well as the pinch of salt. You're going to take your rubber spatula and delicately fold the dry ingredients together to make sure there's an even distribution. Although it may seem redundant, you're going to take your dry ingredients and sift them one more time. As you can see, it's very easy for the almond flour and the powdered sugar to become clumpy again. This is something we definitely don't want to happen, so make sure you sift your ingredients one more time. After that final sift, your almond flour and powdered sugar should look something like this. One of the key differences between macaroons and macarons is the element of meringue. Meringue is when you take egg whites and beat at high speed with slowly adding sugar to the mixture. Now, 1 1/2 egg whites doesn't seem like a lot, however, by beating the eggs at a high speed, you're going to double the volume and create a very light, delicate texture that should resemble something like clouds. There are many types of meringues out there, however, what's important to remember is that you have to slowly add in your sugar. If you dump it in all at one time, you're risking knocking out all the air bubbles and your meringue will be flat, which could cause a lot of issues with your pastry. Whether you use vanilla extract or vanilla bean paste like what I have here, make sure to add it to your wet ingredients rather than your dry ingredients. The reason being, vanilla paste especially is very sticky, and this could lead to clumps in your batter. So what you see here is, again, the mixture's changed a little bit at this point. It's starting to get a little bit lighter, that nice shiny white texture. And at this point, we're still whipping this at high speed to try to get those nice white peaks. Or again, stiff peaks is what you'd see in most cookbooks. So I'll show you what that means exactly and what to look for. If you see this, you're not there yet. This is still too runny and needs more time. Now this is what we mean by stiff peaks. Basically, if you turn your spatula or bowl upside down, the meringue should be strong enough to support itself and hold that position. Now that your meringue is set, time to fold in the dry ingredients. Take your rubber spatula and turn the spoon over the mixture in clockwise or counterclockwise rotations. Go slow at first to prevent knocking out the air bubbles, but you may increase the speed slightly once the mixtures are evenly distributed. At this point, your batter should be dense and sticky. Next, you're going to be using a pastry bag to pipe out your shells. Make sure that the nozzle you're using is large enough to ensure even distribution of the batter. If the nozzle is too small, you can have lumpy, uneven shaped shells. Although you can use parchment paper, I highly recommend purchasing one of these silicone mats. The reason being is that the shapes are already printed, so that it makes uniform shells. Additionally, it's easier to remove them after they're baked, and it also prevents the pastries from potentially burning on the bottom. After you finish piping, you're going to pick up the tray and drop it 3 to 4 times to knock out extra air bubbles in your batter. One of the most important steps in making macarons is the resting period. You must allow your pastries to rest for a minimum of 30 minutes and up to 2 hours, depending on temperature. To tell if your macarons are ready for the oven, look to see if your shells have a dull appearance and are no longer sticky. If so, that means they're ready to bake. Place them in the oven and bake at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 14 minutes. A well-baked macaron should have a nice, smooth, sheen top, ridges on the bottom that resemble feet, and a light brown bottom with no signs of burn marks. Now that your shells have cooled, you can begin assembling the macarons into that iconic sandwich look. For your filling, you can choose whatever you like, whether it's buttercream, ganache, or jam, it's completely up to you. For these, I chose vanilla bean buttercream. Each macaron should contain roughly a teaspoon amount of filling. There shouldn't be anything overflowing at the sides. Baking macarons may seem easy, however, a lot can go wrong if you're not careful. Let's go through some of the most common baking mistakes and then examine how to prevent them from occurring. If your macarons resemble wafers, there are a lot of things that could have gone wrong. The most common problem with flat and crispy macarons is overmixing your batter. This usually occurs during the folding phase or meringue phase, where someone mixed the batter too quickly and knocked out all the air. Another reason why this happens has to do with the chemical properties of the meringue itself. If you flavor and color your macarons with extracts or colorings that are oil or fat based, this can deflate the meringue. Placing your macarons in an oven that is too hot can also cause them to crumble and deflate. If your macarons appear very brittle and have severe cracks on top, the main culprit is the resting time. Macarons need to rest for a minimum of 30 minutes. If you rush this phase, the air bubbles can burst and cause the pastry to crack. If meringue is weak and runny, the macarons won't hold their shape and are likely to crack and crumble. Similar to macarons becoming completely flat, if your oven temperature is too high, you risk ruining their iconic shape. Bumpy and lumpy macarons come down to the preparation and mixture of your ingredients. If you fail to sift your dry ingredients, lumps will form in the batter which cause an uneven texture. Besides sifting, you must make sure that your wet and dry ingredients are folded together evenly before piping the batter onto the tray. Hollow shells are difficult as there are many reasons as to why they occur. Oftentimes this happens because of the element of air. You need to find that happy medium with mixing your batter and forming your meringue. If you don't have stiff peaks or overwhip the meringue, the batter doesn't have enough air, which can cause the pastry to be flat or hollow on the inside. Now it's time to test your skills. Read the following scenarios to see what went wrong and determine how to prevent the mistakes from happening in the future. Make sure to pause the video to read the scenarios carefully and jot down your response. Once you're ready, play the video to see the correct answers on the next slide. How'd you do? Feel ready to bake your first batch of macarons? If you follow along with this video and read carefully, I just know you'll find culinary success.